The Los Angeles Chargers. I just feel for the fans. I really do. I really, really do. I tweeted out that of all the soul-crushing losses, this has to be the most soul-crushing loss of them all. Up 27-0. I mean, to say it's the worst blown lead in the history of the Chargers, that's carrying a lot of water. But it was just the first team to lose with a turnover differential of +5 or more in the history of the NFL playoffs. It's never happened before. Teams are now 26-1 in those situations. You know, and I did my best to try and find, and we'll show this later, where there was like a momentum switch. It was kind of just like there really was it was just a long, slow car crash, you know, and the fact that Eckler had just 43 scrimmage yards when he had almost 100 on the season, averaged it, and no Mike Williams, man. I'm telling you.
That's huge.
I mean, that's a red zone problem. And then you take a look, and this may be unfair, I don't know, but, you know, Joey Bosa throwing his helmet and then Brandon Staley picking it up for him. I got that for you. You just, you know, so frustrated. I'll just get your helmet for you and hand it back to you and have you throw it down at my feet a second time. You know, it makes you think, does Joey respect this guy or not?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, and fair or not, I know that people lose cool on sidelines and we think they're just hate each other and it's just a flashpoint moment. But here's the thing that I think is got some credence. In the same way that Brian Daboll and that offense has cracked the code for Daniel Jones, and Kevin O'Connell had Cousins playing really well, okay? And we're talking about Doug Peterson is the perfect guy for Trevor Lawrence, isn't he? And we just all know that Mahomes has had Reed, and, you know, Daboll was the guy, and look, you know, Ken Dorsey's a perfect guy for Allen. Dialing it up. Tua, hopefully he can come back. Mike McDaniel dialed it up for him. Kyle Shanahan is the perfect coach for Brock Purdy. You hear that, right? I mean, just name some of them off the top of my head. We hear that about Justin Herbert? We do not. And so, yes, Chargers fans are sitting out there, fair or not. I mean, Brandon Staley calls the defensive plays, but as you know, when he's been on this program, he's a former quarterback. He knows the position. He's no dummy. He knows the position. He knows what Herbert can do. And we are talking about a team that went up 27-0. We are. And that's the potential that clearly this team has had, but then the chargering happens.
They also settled for a 22-yard field goal and a 23-yard field goal. Not like they were getting it done in the red zone when they got gifted.
That's
those
the problem.
turnovers.
I mean, the muffed punt is the one that you really have to point to. I mean, you could have broken them in two over your knee, like Bo Jackson snapping a bat. You know, if they had scored touchdowns instead of field goals there. And then, of course, Dicker missing a field goal was a crusher.
Yeah.
But this lends to everybody saying Sean Payton is sitting out there. And I don't know when this report came through. It was, a month plus ago? He'd like to coach in Los Angeles.
Hey.
And we're like, hey,
how about that?
I like it here myself.
Yeah, right?
I love it here.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah. It never rains in South. Oh, wait a minute. No, that's not true.
Well, I think it's finally stopped raining.
Yeah.
But hey, McVay, maybe you heard McVay was having a tough year. McVay thought about it. And it took him about 72, 90 hours to clear his head. He's back. That happened, I think, when we walked out the door on Friday, right?
Friday afternoon, yeah.
Yep.
So then here's Brandon Staley here in Los Angeles. And so that checks the box for Sean Payton, right? Checks the box. What about ownership? Well, it's a family-owned business. They're not going anywhere. It's not like all of a sudden they're going to put this thing up for sale and then
to the Target family.
Somebody, exactly, the Target family, and then he's going to talk about Commissioner Goodell, and then all of a sudden, what happened here? So there's that. And then, do they have an all-world quarterback who's young that he can hook up with? Yes, they do. So everybody's like, put 2 and 2 together. Peyton's sitting out there. Sean Payton's sitting out there. And we got a team that just absolutely, to the bed. And this is after last year ended with the Raiders knocking them out in the final seconds of the final game. And they missed the playoffs entirely, but lost a de facto playoff game in Vegas last year. And how can they possibly come back from this and run it back with a coach who retrieves a helmet for somebody and has it thrown at his feet, and then, could use Mike Williams, but he played him in a game that meant nothing and lost him, and makes these 4th down decisions that are head scratchers, and and Sean Payton's there. It's a no-brainer, right? Well, again, Staley's no dummy. This team was up 27-0, and the Chargers, this is the way they zig. They're going to stick with them. I would be absolutely surprised if we find out, Chris, TJ, Rich Eisen Show viewing and listening audience, in the next 24, he's not listening, 24 to 48 hours, that we find out that the meeting between Spanos and Staley is done and Spanos is firing him. He's out. He's cleaning house. Maybe Tom Telesco stays and they are in the market for a coach. And they are going to not only fire the coach and pay him off, but they are going to hire Sean Payton and pay him an insane amount of money, knowing that they have to pay the quarterback annually, 1x, if not, 1.5x of the $20 million that Sean Payton apparently wants? What if he wants $15 million? So you're going to end up paying the quarterback maybe 2x on that front. Because kids, when they get drafted and they play like Justin Herbert, they get paid after year 3. Mm-hmm. And if they don't, it's a problem. And so they get paid after year 3. And by the way, this is coming for the Bengals once their season ends for Joe Burrow, which is why all of a sudden Mike Brown says, you know what we need to do? We need to get a naming rights deal for our stadium. Oh, yeah, really?
Yeah, interesting.
Paycor Stadium should be renamed Pay Joe Stadium.
Yeah, right.
So pay that man his money.
This is what the Chargers are going to do. They're going to stick with Staley. They're going to probably find a new play caller for him, because in the same way that even Kraft made Belichick put out a press release saying we're looking for an offensive coordinator, and we're even naming the coach that, when Belichick never talks about titles for his coaches. This is one of those things where it's just, we need to get somebody to get Justin Herbert to the level we need to get him to when we're paying him all that money. And I think they'd like Staley. I think they do. And they're going to stick with him.
Yeah, that's kind of what Ian's been saying today.
That's coming. I'm telling you, this is happening. So Gino's going nowhere, and I don't think Staley's going anywhere. I don't.
Do you give Gino, what type of deal do you give him?
I don't know.
Do you franchise him next year and then figure it out?
I don't know. What if you pay him, $25 per for 3 with a 4th-year option or something like that? Would he say no to that?
Probably not. I don't think he's getting a better deal anywhere else.
I don't know. Well, he might get a better deal somewhere else, but it's not the spot where he's comfortable in, right, and they're comfortable with him, and he knows the system. He's grown in it now. It's part of his DNA. And Pete loves him, and I'm telling you, the players love him. They love him. The whole mentality, we talked with Tyler Lockett about that whole mentality of I was written off, but I never wrote back, is exactly the Seattle Seahawks mantra of the 2022 season.
Well,
soup to nuts.
I ain't right back, though. I mean, you made it more formal.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for holding me to that. My feet to the fire that I didn't know existed. But there you go. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.